Hi everyone, I'm Tom Wilson and I run the Racing² business. This is our weekly Bloodstock Analytics Show, kind of reviewing what's been happening in global bloodstock. Couple of things this week. So we had the 100th inaugural New Zealand Bloodstock Karaka yearling sale. So we had book 1, book 2, and then kind of an appended summer sale for sales races. Next year, we'll take a look at that. We'll take a look at kind of just the overall global bloodstock market this week, kind of what's been sold, how many lots sold, kind of overall market dynamics. Wrote a couple of pieces this week on yearling profitability. We track profitability per yearling offered at all kind of major global bloodstock sales. But we'll do a bit of a zoom into stallions and farms across Australia and New Zealand, particularly now that we've had Magic Millions book 1 and book 2, and we've had the Karaka sale as well. So we've got kind of 2 flagship sales in the book, so we can see kind of how the market is developing, and then just a little bit of a snapshot on some of the things that have been happening. The Tats National Hunt Cheltenham sale, and then some Group 1 winners around the world as well. Yeah, so this week, if you look at the global market, so we there's about 1,000 horses catalogued globally at the major sales this week. So we looked at Karaka and Tats Cheltenham. So not a mega busy week globally in the context of some weeks that you can see, but still kind of flagship from a Southern Hemisphere New Zealand perspective. 742 of those 1,038 lots sold. So globally, the conversion rate was 71.5%. If you look at a global gross figure for the market this week, New Zealand dollars 98 million, GBP 43 million, euros 50 million, Australian dollars 84 million, USD just a shade shy of 60 million. I mean, Karaka book 1, book 2 in summer was the biggest contributor there. So I mean, of the total spend in the market, I mean, if you do it on GBP, 41.6 million was spent at Karaka, of course, in New Zealand dollars. So it was actually 94.6 New Zealand dollars, but basically out of a global market of 43 million. So all focus on New Zealand this week, pretty much. And there you can see the breakdown there. So a little bit of a contribution in the Northern Hemisphere from the Tats Cheltenham January sale, which is a national hunt sale. Karaka book 1 was super strong year on year. Interesting dynamic. They reduced the book size from 661 to 567, so that was a 14.2% reduction, but the gross actually increased. So they increased kind of gross spend by 4.9%, despite that 14.2% kind of catalog size reduction. Average was up 13.6%, medium was up 27.3%. And if you speak to people that were at Karaka book 1, it was just super strong. So very strong market, kind of on the surface and also underneath. We do a little bit, we like to go a bit deeper and unpick profitability from a breeder perspective, so I'll come on to that. That probably wasn't as strong as when you would see those kind of the overall market metrics, but that's just a little bit of a natural dynamic in the marketplace. Not every yearling sold is a winner, not every yearling sold is a profitable one, but let's look at the ones that are. Market share, so the top 10 sires at Karaka delivered 59.4% of the total gross. Always interested in that, because there's like a kind of a power law or power dynamic that like the smaller proportion of elite stallions or perceived elite stallions drive the most of the volume across the market. The top 10 vendors delivered 62.7% of the gross. So there's also kind of like a power law in the clustering of the big farms and the big vendors as well. Here's some stats. This is looking at stallions. So Tono Aladdin, Presea had the kind of the most yearlings kind of offered in the sales. Both did well. Kind of 150,000 New Zealand dollar median, which was strong. Savabeel's been a kind of a stalwart in New Zealand for a number of years. Sword of State was really the story, I would say, for breeders, doing very well early on with 2-year-olds. Like Warwoven couldn't run last week, but is very highly rated, and a couple of stakes winners already in the book. Yeah, from a 15,000 New Zealand dollar fee, delivered a median yearling sale of 165,000 New Zealand dollars. So it was a pretty remarkable performance. Animo continues to go really well. Only 8 on offered in New Zealand, 6 of them sold, but for a median of 550, which is a rocket basically. The service fee was 121,000 Australian. So if you can do the calculation, you can convert that to New Zealand dollars, but it was nowhere near the the median price there. So yeah, Animo continues to do really well. In terms of vendors, Cambridge had a really good sale, 54 offered, 50 sold, 92.6% clearance. Their median was 150. They got the top lot, which was the Sword of State, that went for 1.1 million. They cleared 10.6 million total gross. So like from a vendor perspective, they dominated. I mean, clearance, they beat out Waikato at 76.1%, but total gross, it's almost double. So you've got Waikato at 5.9 million New Zealand dollars and Cambridge at 10.64. So they were standing alone in the marketplace in terms of vendor strength. Who was active buying? When you're at Karaka, you're in David Ellis's house. So David Ellis will always be kind of dominating in terms of purchase outlay and spend, and picking up Tiako kind of prospects for both at home in New Zealand and also for the training setup they have across the Tasman now. Chris Waller and Mulcaster, very active, probably liking some of the New Zealand pedigrees on offer for maybe some more of the maturing types that they would go for. KPW Bloodstock were the third kind of most active buying entity, and Kieran Mart was very active again after being very strong at the Gold Coast. What was quite interesting in terms of purchasing dynamics, and I mentioned it last time, but talked a bit about the growth of China, and certainly at the ready to run sale back end 2025, you saw Chinese purchasers buying kind of in force or en masse a little bit more than you've ever seen before in New Zealand. They were back for the yearling sale as well. So they spent about 2.25 million New Zealand dollars purchase outlay. What I find a bit interesting is if you added the China spend to the Hong Kong spend, then you're sitting there at the kind of the third largest kind of purchasing kind of entity or purchasing location. So yeah, the growth of China continues. Recurring interest from China, particularly in the New Zealand market, continues. Sure, the sales companies have been fostering this quite a lot anyway, and will continue to do so. But it's an interesting dynamic. Saw a meme or a quote a couple of weeks ago, and someone said, once the Chinese really start getting into thoroughbred racing, there's not enough thoroughbreds in the world to satisfy the demand. So we will see. But yeah, if you were making like predictions for themes for the next couple of years, you would say big growth in China would be a macro theme, and you would say big growth in Saudi Arabia would also be a macro theme, because already well established kind of elite racing across the Middle East, but the Saudi market is getting more and more buoyant, and the local racing scene is getting more and more dynamic. So they would be kind of two geographical shifts that I would expect to come over the next 2, 3, 5 years. Getting into net profits a bit then. So what we like to do is we like to look at, okay, so what you often hear in kind of commentary and media is you hear top lots, you hear averages, you hear medians. That's fine. But from a breeder perspective, you want to know what's your chance of making a profit, because that's really the true kind of measure of success. So what we like to do is we do a profitability calculation per yearling, and then aggregate that into an index overall. Then looking at service fee, so we include service fee in the cost. We include keep in the cost. I use 25,000 Australian dollars or 29,000 New Zealand dollars. People might argue that's too low, or some might say it's too high. I'm comfortable with it, but I'm also open to suggestions if it should be higher. But that's what we've done. And if we look across the book one, book two Karaka market, I would say, I think it's about 38% of yearlings didn't make a profit, and therefore 62% of yearlings did. You see the skew there. The blue skew is like profitable yearlings book one, and the orange skew is profitable yearlings book distribution is book two. Definitely easier to make a profit if you get in book one, but that's not rocket science. But yeah, if we assume that kind of 30 to 40% of yearlings don't make a net profit, then what can we do to find kind of prospects that would be in the 60% group? Looking at the stallions that we tracked in New Zealand, who made the most profits for breeders, sort of state did 50 catalogued, 44 sold, average net profit per lot of 105,000. That might be Australian dollars because I do convert back. I will check and confirm. And 66,000 median net profit per yearling. Satono Aladdin said high volume, but also did decent, did well. Average net profit $51,000 for breeders. People really went for Alabama Express. Kind of, I think the people in the upper mid market or syndicators seem to be mad keen on Alabama Express, and he's kind of really getting established in that mid market bracket, but did really well. Only 6 catalogs, sold 5. But the average net profit per lot was $245,000 with a median of $132,000. I've mentioned Animo already. Justify, I think, just continues to have a really, really good Southern Hemisphere sales season. So we loved the kind of the stock that he had at Magic Millions, and they were also really well received here. Here is a little chart. We like to let's zoom in. We like to look at the distribution of the profits. So here's the top 20 stallions. Here's all of the sales prices. Here is where you plot the individual kind of net profit per lot on the line. Blue is book one, green is book two. We count not sold or withdrawals as losses. Basically, you want to see a nice load of dots to the right hand of the line. And maybe you want to see a big spread. You want to see a nice clustering where you can get a healthy median, and then maybe a big kind of spread or a big upside outlier where you can maybe hit one that would be really good for you. So Savabil's just got a really solid line. Procea's just got a really solid line. Profundo's got a decent line, I would say, and did well really for breeders at book two. Drosson's got a decent line and distribution, not so many below the split line, and particularly made some decent profits in book two. Sort of State, we already mentioned, was kind of the rocket. Super Zeth was pretty decent, did well for breeders in book one, not so much in book two. They didn't really go for them there. Nova was solid particularly in book two as well. So yeah, you can see that. I like to use that visualization just to I like to see things. Like I'm going to try and work out like where to play. I want to be able to visualize it. If we look at overall yearling profitability across the two major sales so far, then yeah, Animo's kind of the star. 43 lots offered, 39 sold, 90.7% clearance, average net profit per lot of 250,000 Australian dollars on that, and 121,000 Australian dollar fee. Very good. Schnitzel, of course, super strong. Sadly last year, so you won't be able to get them anymore. So people are still mad for it. Vinny, very well, the elite stallion in Australia. Justify, we've mentioned, very solid. Two Down Hot is has been well received. A couple maybe passed over on clearance. 27 lots offered, 21 sold, but 166,000 net profit per yearling. I also include the losses in these net profits as well. And Alabama Express we've talked about. That's the chart overall, showing all lots we've tracked so far. Again, same kind of distribution chart. Home Affairs is still doing decent. No, it's the second season. 2-year-olds are going good. I would say the second crop yearlings are going good as well. Not in the headlines because it's not first season anymore. Animo gets the first season headlines, but really, really solid. Yeah, thoughts of Tony Aladdin and Presea were solid enough for people in New Zealand. Animo has been pretty spectacular, I would say, so far as well. Stay Inside, I think, particularly for kind of lower middle bracket syndicators, been very good, very well received, and has done well for breeders as well, bringing a decent profile. What we like to do as well is we like to just track the overall performance of stud farms. So we kind of group their stallions together into a portfolio that represents the farm and then track the farm's output in its totality. Dali are doing really well this year. I mean, it's driven by Animo, but Two Down Hot's also really contributing. 9 stallions at Dali. They've had 153 lots offered, 131 sold for 85.6% clearance, but you're getting an average net profit per lot of 124,000 Australian dollars. So it is super good. Who else do Dali have? They have Animo, Aston, Bivouac, Exceeding Excel, Harry Angel. Harry Angel's done all right as well. Microphone, Pinatubo, Two Down Hot, and Victor Ladorum. So going pretty great guns at the moment. In the rest of global bloodstock, yeah, this is the Tattersalls Cheltenham sale. So that is the horse in the picture is Golden Current by Golden Horn. Top lot of the sale sold for kind of 315,000 GBP. It's a bit of a kind of small niche sale. So 29 catalogue there, 20 sold, 69% clearance. Gross was 1.7 million GBP. Average was 87,000 GBP with a 60,000 GBP median. Other top lots: Willow Tide, Crystal Ocean, 200,000. Mortal Coil, Affincy, 170,000. Clondor Buster, Berkshire, 120,000. What else has been happening? That is Romantic Warrior. Why is Romantic Warrior in the picture? Because he won the Stewards Cup on the 25th of January at Sha Tin. So kind of taking out another Group 1 there. Other Group 1 winners kind of around this week. Kai Ying did it again. So Kai Ying rising in the Centenary Spring Cup, again at Sha Tin on the 25th of January. And Opera Ballo was the first Northern Hemisphere Group 1 winner for Gaia at Jebel Hat in the Jebel Hatta Group 1 at Maidan on the 23rd of January. Gaia has had a Southern Hemisphere Group 1 winner already in Observer. Group 1 Victoria Derby winner, but Opera Ballo was the first Group 1 winner for Gaia in the Northern Hemisphere. So that's what's been happening in global bloodstock this week. If you like this type of stuff, please subscribe on YouTube. Please follow the Substack blog. More of this is coming, both write-ups, both charts, analysis, and probably a bit more of this kind of media type content as well. So thanks for watching, and may all your horses be fast horses over the next week.